what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 21 of the podcast, a one-on-one conversation. I'm your host, Juan Sun. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 제 이름은 손훈입니다. And today, my guest is Kobe Hall. Could you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hello, guys. My name is Kobe Hall. I'm from Jamaica, Queens. I am a college student, 19 years old. I am also a fashion model and entrepreneur outside of that. So that's kind of, I go to Baruch College, by the way, that's my school.
Yay.
I've been modeling and in entrepreneurship for about 2 years, since I was 17. And that's a little bit about me.
So, just to let the audience know, we don't know each other that much, but just a little bit that we know about each other. Sorry, by the way, thank you for coming on the podcast. Could you give the audience some background info on how we know each other?
Well, we met via social media. You did a great podcast with actually a business partner and a friend of mine named Alex Lampa. So we kind of connected on that. You reached out to me and I thought that was super cool. One, because I thought that the episode was already good. And then I was like, oh, snap. I mean, he's invited me to one too. So I thought that was great. And we kind of just bonded from there.
Yeah, this guy's got great vibes, man. And I guess my first question would be, I think you've already alluded to it, but then if you don't mind, could you break it a little bit further about the specifics of it? What do you do?
As far as business-wise or
Everything,
fashion model?
I guess.
All right, no problem. So as far as entrepreneurship goes, that I do direct sales basically. So I sell household reconsumable products, from energy drinks to water to vitamins to like laundry stuff, different things like that. A lot of different, I guess you could say, entities or brands within what I do. But I basically do e-commerce marketing for those brands, and I teach other people how to do the same, and that's really about it. And then as far as the fashion modeling, I've been signed for about 2 years. So really what I do there is that now I model for high fashion brands such as Aeropostale. I used to work for Urban Outfitters quite a lot. I've worked for Nike, I've worked for Tom Ford, I've worked for GQ. A lot of different names. So that's kind of what I do on that side. And then in school at Baruch College, I study communications. Which, if you don't know what Baruch is a very big business school. So that's what I do on that side. And that's kind of like my, I don't know, trifecta or whatever.
What about part-time Instagram pastor?
Well, I mean, I guess you could count that as well. I'm always talking about faith on my Instagram. I don't know if that makes me a pastor. Maybe it does. I don't know. I just like to be a spreader. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I never thought that preaching would be like a thing for me, but I think that especially now, I think it's good that we have a couple people who just like to spread positivity, and really spread the word, because I feel like there's a lot going on. I think that keeps people sane,
Well, what has been going on, Kobe?
Ooh. Well, there's a lot of unrest in the world. I'm sure, as many of you know, there's a lot of political tension. There's a lot of social tension. There's a lot of tension as far as people who economically, right? Because the economy is not doing so high, right? So there's a lot of tension on all sides. Then you also have the corona stuff, and there's just like, some people are scared to go outside. Some people are like, oh my God, this year's canceled, the next year's canceled. So there's a lot of stress, and a lot of feels like there's enemies on all sides type of thing. So it feels like you're kind of surrounded, and I think that's a little bit on what's going on right now.
Everyone's on edge. Everyone's on edge.
Yeah, the tension is palpable, if I could really put a word for it. Like when you go outside, you feel it, right? That's all people want to talk about right now. People are super engaged in politics. They're super engaged in social awareness, social, change and societal things. Every day it seems like there is something new.
Mm.
especially because I feel, in my opinion, a lot of people are at home, so they really don't have anything better to do than that. Um, which is, I'm not gonna say it's a good or a bad thing, but I think that a lot of people are kind of at that point where they're just like, man, like what else does 2020 have to hold? You know?
I mean, I guess one thing that one big event that the downfall of 2020 started with was someone with your namesake, Kobe Bryant, when he passed away. And then people feel whenever they comment on social media or they just see just the constant BS that they see, it's just this all started when Kobe died. And I'm just like, hold on now, guys.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. I remember that was it was a tragic loss. And it kind of did, I feel like I don't feel like it threw the year off. Um, because I really do feel that that's God calling him home. So I really can't say that that's like, oh my God, 2020 is a worst year because of that.
Right.
Um, but I definitely do feel that for some people, it had definitely stressed them out.
Uh, oh,
You're open. Don't worry. All right.
okay.
So
Yeah, I'm sure you get this question a lot. Were you named after Kobe Bryant?
I actually was. My parents are very, very big fans of him. So it's between Keyshawn, who was a football player, if I'm right. I forgot. I don't know the full name of the guy. I just know his name was
Keyshawn
Keyshawn.
Johnson?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
there you go. Which is actually my middle name. It was like between that and Kobe Bryant. So yes, they went with Kobe Bryant. Um, and I really, really liked him as far as his work ethic. I'm not too big into sports. That's just not my thing. But I really did love his work ethic and really what he was about. And I said, how can I really embody that into my life? So that's why I take inspiration from him, for real.
The Mamba mentality. Everyone could take a lesson from it.
Definitely. I mean, there's just so much you can learn from that man, right? I forgot. I think it was when he had fractured his wrist or something. And this guy is throwing free throws. He's supposed to be in this hospital, but he's throwing free throws about practicing his shot. That's crazy,
Yes.
right? No one would expect anybody to really want to do that. And the fact that he was doing it was insane.
I think um, when there's two things I picked up from Kobe, which was one, uh, his mentality. He just seems so perfect, so meticulous about attacking each business endeavor, right? But then you see at home, granted, it's social media, so it just looks happy. But I think he was generally a great father and a good guy that was really liked by the basketball community and outside of it. And then the second part was when he passed away, it just seemed like that kind of really messed with my perception of death because just like this man right here, also a Christian as well. And then I know death is just on God's time, but
Right.
then there's just some people that you love so much that they don't deserve, not deserve, but they just don't, they're almost too good for death to take away
Right.
almost.
Right. Like their presence is really needed in this world at that time.
Exactly.
Right. I've felt the same way, and I really do feel that happens for some sort of reason. I think that that's the moment where God wants to speak to us is through that, like that moment where you're like, man, like this person didn't deserve to like leave this world. Even if you think about, I miss this a lot of this pandemic stuff. I think this is really the time that God wants to be speaking to us.
Mm,
Even though it seems like there's a lot of craziness going on, there has been a lot of deaths and a lot of um, different side effects and stuff like that based on what's going on. But I really do feel that He wants to move through this, and that's why there's been so much almost craziness and craziness and craziness and craziness. Because I think this is the year that really woke people up in a
mm.
way.
Uh, one new perception of death that I picked up from my journey as a Christian was this pastor. I think his name is Roger Hershey. Check him out, guys. He's pretty solid. He had a son who was unfortunately killed when he was serving in Afghanistan. And then during that, how do you describe it? Like the period after his death, right? Let's say like the
Mhm.
few year, you just can't completely like rebound. There still has to be a period of grieving. That's what it was, a period of
Right,
grieving. And then he's just blaming God and all that stuff. And he was talking to his wife, and then I think after like a few weeks or something like that, he came to this conclusion where instead of just being mad at God for taking away something so early, he should instead, I think, to him, ideally it was being happy for those 23 years that he got to
right,
spend with him. And I'm like, oh man, we are grateful for the people for that time, because everything, uh, it's too good to be true. Like the best things always come to an end. But things
right,
though, it doesn't have to be like that. You have to build up on it. There's another
right,
better thing waiting afterwards. And I think people just get too quick about, oh my God, it's the end of it now. What am I supposed to do? It's just, it's okay. Keep moving forward. It's all right. There's greater things than that. There's just more
right,
positive things you can build up on.
right. And for sure, the great thing about even someone as Kobe Bryant is that he has, though he has died physically, he hasn't died in everyone's heart and in everyone's mind, right? Like no one will ever forget Mamba mentality because of the legacy that he left behind. So that's why I'm always really, really passionate about that. I'm really passionate about leaving that legacy because you never truly die, right? I think the moment you actually die is when no one is saying your name anymore, right? When you're not being spoken about. But someone like the caliber of Kobe Bryant is someone who is going to go on for ages, right? People are going to say, like, man, this guy was one of the best basketball players ever. And not only that, but he was a very, very good human being. And he really did add a lot to the world. They're never going to stop talking about
Mm. Yeah, you ever thought about, because I'm sure what you're doing right now, you just want to keep building it and just make it as big as you can, right? And I think you and I talked about this in our previous call, where you want to just add a little bit of positivity, a little bit of light to someone's day, right? Um, I think that's one of the biggest things is legacy, and then trying to contribute to that legacy by being as positive as you can towards anyone that you meet in the street.
it. Yeah. I think that that's what life is. We should, you know, not only, as believers, but I think in general, just as a human being, I feel like there's so something special about you just adding value to somebody else, right? Because you genuinely want to do that. A mentor of mine said that, true success is really determined by how many lives are better off because you've lived. And that's something that I want to live my life by because I think that that's where success is found. It's not in the money, it's not in the car, it's not in the house. Those are great, that's cool. I mean, they're here, somebody got to use them. But I think that, the true currency is in how much value you're adding to others, right? And how other people are benefiting from you being, right? And what you're leaving behind.
I think outside of the what was it the your entrepreneurship, where you have to directly interact with someone, right? Whether it's through a call or face to face. But then your other profession that kind of intrigued me, which was modeling, because with your image, you don't know who sees your image, right? You just put it out there, just hope for the best for whatever company that you're working for.
Right.
And the most recent image that I've been seeing popping up on your social media, whether people have been tagging you in it, or they just be like, "Oh my God, what a great message!" Is it's you with the mask with Vote, right?
Yes. So that was a campaign with Eric Postel and Rock the Vote. Very, very big thing. I didn't really know about it until I got there. They had told me that it's going to be like this huge thing about like voting and getting registered to vote and different stuff like that. And as they were telling me about it, I really was like, oh, that's very interesting. And I really like that.
Hmm.
I was just there. I was there for the rate. But to be honest, once I learned more about it, I said that is a great message. And
Uh,
I was happy to be a part of it.
Do you so prior to like a shoot, do they at least break down the concept to you, or you just show up, take the photos, and then get out? Or
It really depends. So depending upon the shoot, um, it will depend upon what they're going to tell me. So certain things, like for example, when I worked for Tom Ford, I think that was like a year ago, but for a job like that, it was a very high paying job to say the least. So for something like that, they're going to tell me in advance, like, hey, this is kind of what the concept's somewhat going to be like. They may not tell me in detail, to just say like, you need to be comfortable with doing these things, and then just make sure that I am comfortable with doing those things before I get there. Um, and then when I get there now, I get a lot more broke down. Wait, sorry, breakdown. Yeah, breakdown. I guess that's how you say it. I get a lot more breakdown. And they tell me about the concept and like where it came from and like why is it important. You know, because I just like to ask these things. I like to know what is the thought process behind what they're doing. You know, well, on a normal day, if I'm doing like a e-commerce for like a website or something, they might not tell me. It really depends.
uh, bro, running a photo shoot is so hard because I'm a photographer, and my thing is when I'm working with a model is obviously I'm not doing anything like high scale. It's just standing
Mhm.
outside and just praying to God that the sunlight works for the photo, and
Right.
then I'm taking it, but then it's the model, he or she says, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, and I stay still and staying still, and then once they just start like breaking out of that nervousness, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is not that bad. But the ones actually modeling for the family photo shoot, just for
Mhm.
for family shoots, I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, that feeling never leaves you. Even as you do bigger jobs, you always are gonna have kind of that pause where you're like, "Oh man, I don't know how this photographer wants me to do." I've had photographers that just want me to sit there and look like I'm depressed, and that's it. And that's not really my personality, to be fair. Like I'm very animated, so I like to do things with my face, with my hands. Um, so for me to kind of sit there and like not that that's my face, but I'm just saying in general. Um, it kind of takes you out of your comfort zone, and I think that's the big part about the industry, is that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. And that feeling never leaves you. But after a while, you can start getting your own little like thing going, and like with me, I got my routine going, so I know like if I'm doing e-commerce, which is like website modeling basically, um, they're all going to be the same poses. Like you play with your hair, you do this, you do the profile, it's almost the same thing. But maybe for like an editorial and stuff, it really depends on the mood of what they're doing, and then you have to kind of play into that.
Actually, speaking of limits, where what was it? Your comfort zone, right? Those are your limits, your boundaries, type of thing. I
Mhm.
thought about this question. Were there moments during your career as an entrepreneur or as a model or whatever you do that conflicted with your faith?
Ooh. And my faith in God, or just my faith just in general, like maybe in myself?
Faith in God.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, huh? But conflicting with my faith in God. I would say I haven't really had too many of those moments, because to be fair, the great thing that I love about my business, that the people that I decided to associate myself with, my mentors and my business partner, are all faith driven people, right? So I knew that they have faith in God, and not that they're all the same religion. There are some people, obviously, there are different religions and stuff, but I really did value that everyone had faith in whatever they wanted to believe in, and that they all had like a code of morals, basically.
Mhm.
So I really, really respected that. So I've never had a problem with it in my business. Don't do I have I had my low moments where I felt like, yo, like it is this what's going on? I
Mhm.
think we all have those moments, right? Where you're like kind of stressed, you're kind of angsty, and that's the moment where it's time to push beyond your comfort. And I think that that is where your faith becomes renewed, right? Because it was down here, it can also go back. Hold on, let me one sec. I have to turn this off. But yeah, I think that's the moment where you have to push beyond, and really go beyond that. I think in modeling, I haven't really had a challenge. I did in the beginning, I didn't really believe too much that I would really be into the industry. Because I did some interviews prior to my agency that I'm signed with now, that didn't really work out. To forget the number of agencies I went to and the amount of scouts who were interested in me and then weren't interested in me and stuff like that. But really, I knew at some point that I would be signed. So keeping that in my mind kind of kept me very stable, I would say. But I've never really had that moment where it's challenged really my faith, because I don't like to do things that go against it. And I've been very, very like firm in that decision. And most people that work with me as far as business or even in modeling, they know about that. They know it's like I'm not going anything that goes against God's laws and what I believe in, and it's just not happening. So I've never really had that moment.
Is that like explicitly placed in the contract, like anything against God or something like that?
Wasn't placed in the contract, but they kind of, when you get to know people's personalities, you kind of know
Yeah.
what not to, hit on and stuff like that. Even in a normal person-to-person relationship, like if you know someone is just not comfortable with something, you just wouldn't go against that, right? For the most part, most people, right? So that's just how it's been for me. And the industries I've worked in, for the most part, they know kind of like what works for me, like what my persona is, and they stick to it. They respect that.
Your modeling thing, I know you said you were 17, so you were a minor at the time, so you must have had a lot of legal, um, well, not maybe not yourself, but then because there's a lot of concern with modeling is protection for underage
Yeah.
models and all that stuff. And then 17,
Right.
when you were, what's the word, proposed to by the recruiter, scout, whatever you want to call it, and then and then your parents are most likely your agents or representatives when it happened.
Right. Right. So the funny thing is that the modeling industry for minors is that's when a lot of especially in the women's modeling, oh my God, they get signed at like 14, which is
Oh
insane
man.
to me. But yeah, so they really do, a lot of the legal trouble behind that is because sometimes some people take advantage. Some agencies
Yes.
do take
Yeah.
advantage. There's a 14-year-old girl and she comes from Europe and she has no clue what's going on in the United States. Her family doesn't have enough money to move over here. The agency can technically do whatever they really want
Yeah.
because she's kind of bound to them at that point. So I have seen it, and that was something that I was kind of like, eh. It's one of the things I didn't really like about the industry so much.
Mm.
Upon further, like, because I didn't really learn about it until I heard from them themselves about how that goes on. I was like, that is crazy. But for the most part, I was pretty good because my godfather is a publicist, so he kind of works with a lot of like big names like Chris Brown and Rihanna and all of these type of stuff. So he kind of knows a little bit behind the legal. Not that it's the same thing, but he knows a lot about like how to go about that, right? Like what's a legitimate contract from an illegitimate contract. I sent him the contract before I signed it. It didn't have anything weird in it from what I read. And for the most part, when I had got signed at 17, I was kind of at that point where they were like, okay, you're a little bit more, what's the word? Independent, I would say, because I've been very independent for a lot of my life. That's just my personality. So really, my parents had a lot of trust in me, a lot of faith in me to really just be able to handle it, right? Not because it wasn't anything too it wasn't anything too weird. I think for the most part, I just had to make sure that like I was legally declared in the state that I was doing modeling, and I had to get a license or something. But other than that, other than that, me doing it as a minor really didn't have too much of a difference than me doing it now. Um, yeah, I would say I just had to have more confidence in asking for my money. That was about it.
You know, like negotiating for your money at before 18 though, that's definitely a skill that I feel like a lot of college kids or just just kids our age just don't know about, and something we have to master, obviously, because you want to get your money's worth
Yeah.
at the cost of your hairline at the end of the day.
Right.
So that must
Yeah,
have been that must have been new.
yeah, it was definitely, don't get me wrong, I was working, I did work before getting in the modeling industry. I've worked since I was like, what, like 14, 15 years old. So I had a little bit of like confidence and hey, I work hard. I kind of know how to go about it and stuff like that. Getting into the modeling industry though, knowing that I wouldn't get paid as soon as I do the job, I get paid 1 to 3 months after, and sometimes even more. That was different. That took some getting adjusting to. I mean, one time I did a Nike job. That was actually my first job, by the way. I did a Nike job, and I didn't get paid until like 9 months later. It's insane. I was like, what the heck? This is so weird. So being in that kind of position and knowing how that works, I was just like, this is interesting. This is a new world. I don't know how people do it full time. I give really a lot of respect to them, but for me, I don't know.
You
Right,
must
but
have
it was
been
definitely
doing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. I was just saying it was definitely new.
Actually, one thing before, sorry, I'm asking so much about model. We'll definitely get into
It's all good.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's just that as a photographer, I loved working with models. I'm not saying like I work with high end models. It's just with either usually my friends or something like that. But
Right.
then talking to one who's actually made it, for example, one question would be, what was your perception? I think you kind of alluded to it as well. What was your perception of modeling before and after participating in it?
So I had a lot of the common perceptions of it, right? You make a lot
Yeah.
of money, you're glamorous, you have a lot of glammy moments, you walk on biggest fashion shows and all of this type of stuff. And I had a lot of those kind of thoughts towards it. For me, I got into it because I was into fashion a lot. When
Mm.
I was like, what, 16, and I thought the world was super, super cool. I was like, man, like if I could model for like Jerry Lorenzo, that would be fun. I really, really fell in love with, um, I don't know, the industry as a whole. And I said, that's really, really cool. Um, and then I got a lot of suggestions to do it because I started getting taller and different stuff like that. So, uh, but getting into it, it definitely has changed my perception a little bit. Um, because I realized like, okay, yeah, there's some work behind the glam stuff. There's some work behind it. It's not as easy as, a lot of people say like, oh, it's easy. You stand around and you pose and stuff like that.
Mm.
Which, don't get me wrong, that's part of it. Yes. Um, but getting into it, I definitely saw a different side of it. I said, this is really, really cool. Um, and I think it's so surreal to me that 2 years ago, I was not even sure of if I would get into the industry at all. And then now, having worked with a lot of these big brands that I said I was going to work with, because if I didn't believe it, but now that I'm here and I've done a lot of these brands, and people send me stuff, I'm like, this is so cool, yeah, and I think it's really, really cool industry, and would I do it for the rest of my life? Probably not. Um, but it has been definitely a great run, and a great career so far.
I've seen this 80-year-old Chinese grandpa modeling, and Elon Musk's mom is what was a cover girl, I think.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, I think may maybe you could actually do it to like because the perceptions are changing. Whether you got the
Hmm.
plus size models, right,
Yeah.
and then you got like the older models, right? They embrace your gray hairs type of thing
Yeah.
approach.
Yep. Yep. I've
And I've
definitely
and,
seen them.
and this is one big change that I've noticed, right? And
Hmm.
you guys can roast me in the comments or call me racist or whatever, but this is just my personal perception. Growing up when I was a kid, right? I did not see any black models in ads and commercials.
Hmm.
Did- but nowadays I see them all over the TV, and I think this is what it's challenged my perception. I'm like, there's a black model, what, and all that stuff, and
Right.
I'm thinking, uh-oh, am I racist now or something like that? And two, do you also have you noticed that? I don't know if it's just me.
No, no, it's not just you. I've definitely noticed it. Um, as a kid, I didn't see too many, black models. I didn't see that being something that was, I won't say popular, but I just didn't see it often,
Mhm.
and now to see the diversity of the industry is just so, so impressive to me. Not only just in and with black people, but it's also, there's Asians, there's Indian. They are loving diversity. There's tons and tons of different diversity now. Now I see that you don't even need to really be tall. I think that I mean, well, that varies. that that varies upon the agency, but I have seen them doing a lot more inclusive stuff, which I think is so, so cool. Um, and I think that that's what you need in an ever-changing world. You also need a ever-changing kind of landscape, um, rather than the blonde hair and blue eye type look. I think that's not even really in anymore. Like they're all for super odd and diverse looks nowadays rather than stereotypes.
Ah, like Winnie
It's
Harlow.
yeah, like she has a huge career because she's different, and agencies are loving that right now, right? Especially if you
Really?
have I forgot, I don't want to get roasted because I can't pronounce the skin condition, but if you have the skin condition, right, where like you have different patches of skin color,
Oh,
what's it called?
vitiligo?
Vitiligo, yes. If you have it, like agencies love you, man. You get signs. It's crazy. Some of them are not. Winnie Harlow is not even 5'10", if I'm right, which is the average height for a girl model. She's like 5'9", 5'8", because I've met her in person. She did a job with me at some point, so she's not even like the average height. I was like, huh, right? But she has a massive career.
Was she wearing heels?
I think she was, if I'm right. It was a KIF show, which was super, super cool to have walked for them. If I remember correctly, she was wearing heels. And I was like, man, she's kind of short, isn't she? Interesting. I remember I just noted it. I was like, that's all right. And there's another really, really big. I forgot her name, but there's another really, really big model, and she's on the shorter side, and I'm like, this is it's kind of crazy. Wow. It's getting much, much more inclusive.
Should we start this new demographic of I don't even know what's because you know how this like the sensitive age. I don't know what to call like the how do I say this? The
You are right. It is the sensitive age. I was gonna say. Be
uh,
careful what you say.
um uh
Somewhat describe it. Somewhat describe it. Let's see.
what am I supposed to say? All right, I'll just cut this bit out. Dwarf. Like, do you think we'll see dwarf? I'm sorry, little midget, little people. I don't know what to say. Like
People
those
who
kind of
are
models.
shorter than average human height. um,
I'm certainly
maybe
gonna bleep
we
myself out.
maybe we will. I think that we will definitely get to a point where we're gonna just start including all types of people. I've also seen ads where models are like 60 plus years old, 70 plus years old, which kudos to them. But that's crazy. You know, you would never have thought we'd be in an age where that would be um like up and coming, like a thing. You know, I think it's super cool. I think we will get to a point where we'll start to include just all types of people, all sizes, all heights, all all races, all this and that. I think we definitely will get to that point. You know, and I think it's coming soon, sooner rather than later. I would say.
Do you see when we were having talking about the black models thing, right? And then you're seeing the increased diversity. In my mind, it was there's two things. Either, you know, why didn't they start this before, like the early 2000s? And two, you know, why did it take so long, like quote unquote long, to get them into the industry like that? Is it because of like societal standards of like, hey, you don't have black models, therefore your company's racist type of thing. So we gotta save the clout, we gotta save the fame, man. Gotta save the
Mhm.
face, sorry, type of thing. It's
Right.
like a little
Yeah.
nudge on the side.
Yeah. And, you know, in my opinion, I really do think that I a lot of these companies have gotten to that point because they have to kind of do it. It's
Uh,
like if you're not doing it, you know society is gonna really come for you. You know, this is the age of, I wouldn't even say it's accountability, because it is accountability in some aspects, but sometimes it can go a little far. Um, but definitely, like, if they're not being diverse enough, you know people are gonna start to be like, your board seems to be all the same people here. Okay, interesting. You know, and they're gonna catch a lot of flack. I don't even know if they're just gonna lose clout. I mean, they're just gonna just not be in a good position, and that's not where you want to be. Don't get me wrong. There have also been kind of black only agencies which have also caught a lot of flack. So I think that if they're not kind of innovating and becoming diverse, um, you know, to a good standard, I think they are going to be held more accountable by people, especially in today's day and age. Like that's not going to fly with people nowadays.
mm, because so I guess when you're introducing yourself, right? I guess when you get big, do you think you would get upset when people just know you because of the model rather than just I'm Kobe Hall, the person, or it's just your profession?
That's a good question. You know, I wouldn't say that I would get upset, but you know, I don't see that's why I like to make sure that I stand out, you know, because I feel like you can get very attached to the profession. And I feel like that is a big thing, not only in the modeling industry, but I think in general. Like, I don't like to be attached to what I do. Like, what I do is what I do. That's just, it is how it is. Um, but it's not like that's the only thing I do. Like, outside of that, I'm a human being,
Yeah,
right? Um, like I want people to know me for being me, for my values, for you know what the value that I bring, for what I put out into the world, stuff like that. Um, you know, content of my character rather than I guess who I've worked for. And you know, so don't get me wrong, I have had people, you know, I meet them and that's the first thing they start to ask me about. Oh, who have you modeled for and stuff like that. Um, but you know, and I think it's cool, um, because I guess that they have that kind of common misconception that that's like the glamorous industry, and I'm so like I don't know,
perfect.
rich, famous, and perfect, which I'm not. That they forget that I'm a human being outside of that, and I do way more other things, and I value a lot, and different stuff like that. You know, I'm not just like model 24/7. I barely do like 1 to 2 modeling jobs a month, and people think that that's like every day. That's my lifestyle. You know.
Like for example, what are, like, we kind of addressed a little bit right now, like what are some of the popular slash public misconceptions about modeling? And then right there is like we assume y'all are just perfect and all that stuff.
Yeah, the perfect, you have a perfect body, perfect hair, perfect this, perfect that, perfect skin, um, which is not true. At the end of the day, like they're human beings, and that's really what I came to terms with, especially in the beginning, because I really thought about it. I said, there's no way that they're doing anything that I can't do, because at the end of the day, they're a human being. I'm a human being too. Well, that's why when I got into the industry, I never really got caught up in kind of the lights and the glamour and stuff like that, because I think that that's also a misconception. Models, they have the life of the party. They are, oh, they're fancy, and they go to model parties and have fun and do drugs. I know that's like a popular. Some of them do that, yes, but not all of them, because I don't do that. Oh, they go crazy. They, you know, live in the model apartment and do whatever they want and different stuff like that. So those are some of the kind of common ones I get. Oh, you make tons of money. Like, don't get me wrong, you can. It is
Oh
pretty
yeah.
lucrative. I will not say that you can't. Trust me, you can make some money, depending on who you work for. But it's not like everybody is rich, straight off the industry. Um, that's just unrealistic. It's not work. Obviously, everything in life, I think, is pretty much some sort of work. So
Hmm.
yeah, you do have to work at it. I wouldn't say it's the common conception of work, but it is work. Um, oh, what else? What's another one I get? Oh, you could put people on. Like, I don't know where that one came from, but when anyone asks me about that, I love them, but I can't. There's nothing, like, my name is not like, oh, this is my boy, so sign him,
Yeah.
change his life. I can't really do that. I don't have any power over that. Like, that's not my job at the end of the day. So that one's that's a major misconception. What else? Oh, antisocial. I'm not. I'm actually more social than most models, because, like I said, I'm not attached to that profession. Like, that's not like you see model. Oh my God, my DMs are so popping. I don't answer people. I don't, I don't have that type of. I don't, status. That's just not me. That's not my personality type. Do some people do that? Sure, and no slack to them. If they want to do that, that's on them. But that's just not who I am. Um, got that misconception. You got tons of followers. You get paid on Instagram. Do I have brands that reach out to me? Sure. Yes.
uh,
So sometimes I'll do like maybe one or two things. Or like if I really agree with their message. If I agree with the message, hey, you ain't got to send me nothing. I'll get the stuff myself and want to promote them anyway. That's one thing. Oh, you get free clothes. People think my wardrobe is just full of just like all these jobs I've done, which isn't true. Because you don't really,
uh,
it really depends. It really
uh,
depends. If the brand really starts to like you, they probably will start to give you stuff. Like for me, my wardrobe was full of like Arrow stuff at this point because I've worked with them so much that they just, give me stuff. And now during COVID season, they kind of have to give me stuff because they're worried that other people are going to catch COVID. So they just give it to me. So that's great. And, you get maybe one or two pieces here. Um, but if it comes between negotiating between getting a free piece of clothing and money, I'm going for the money. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't need to have a glamorous wardrobe and stuff like that. It's just not, like I said, I'm a very simple guy. Don't get me wrong. Do I like nice clothing? Yes. But I'd rather a check to be, because I could use that for something, clothing. I'm gonna wear it and I'm gonna wear it like what, 3 times, and oh my God, this is Ferragamo. Yeah, but Other than that, there's no real there's no real reason to, I don't know, flex it like that, use it like that. I don't know. It's just not kind of not my thing, at least, you know. But that's a common misconception. I get that one all the time. Can you get me free clothes?
Mm, mm.
No. I can't even get myself free clothes. I'm gonna get anybody else free clothes.
So you must keep your friends, your circle very, very tight then, because you don't know who's really with you because they think they can hook you can hook them up, or they actually like you because you're Kobe Hall and like a nice guy.
Yeah, my circle is very tight. I've always had kind of a filter. Like I know who is real and not real very quickly. I don't know where I got it from, but I guess that's just how I've had that type of mentality very early, so it's carried through. So people who said that I couldn't do it in the beginning, and then now they're all like, "This is super cool," and "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you." And those people, I know you. Come on, it's like a direct contradiction. Like those people, I already know who you are. Like I'm not going to be like biased against them. I'm not going to be mean to them ever. I don't ever want to do that. I'm always going to be cordial and always be nice, but I know who is real and who's not real. And the real people who stuck by me, I'm always going to stick by them. And fake people are fake, and you get treated like such. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be mean to them at all, but I'm not going to be like besties with you. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know that balance?
I keep it pretty tight because it's just it's either my family and then maybe like a friend or two, honestly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Same thing here. You know, for me, most of my circle, I would say, are, if I went through high school with them, and I went through high school with pretty much the same group, um, like minor changes, but the same people. Um, those people I stick tight to because I'm very loyal to people who, you know, I really have come to like and really respect and stuff like that. I'm very loyal to them. Also, business people, like on my business partners, I'm very tight with everyone there. That's like my family. It's like my second family, you could say. So I'm always going to be tight with them, and always be in good standing with them for the most part. But like random people, like I said, I got that filter, and if I really do respect you as a person, I feel like you are coming from a good place, and you have good values and stuff like that. Hey, we gonna bond. We gonna be cool. You fake, don't know what to tell you. You know?
Two things actually. One is what was it? I'm sure your friends, once they found out that you got to this level of it, and then when you come through just to hang out, like I don't know, like some Buffalo Wild Wings or what's a New York City thing? Oh, picking up like a bacon, egg, and cheese
Yeah, bacon.
at a deli on the roll. So
Right.
you go hang out with your friend, and then you go, "Oh, Mr. Big Shots over here." I'm sure you've gotten that at least once or twice.
Always. Like, oh my God, I saw you do that ad on with Aero Pastel, and oh my God, so cool, and stuff like that. And you know, like I said, I am always going to be appreciative of it. Or even if they say like, oh, you're making big moves, because I'm also, you know, working very hard on the entrepreneurship side as well. So they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And you're going to be rich. You're going to be famous. Don't forget me. All that kind of stuff. I get that all the time. Literally all the time. I could be texting them about anything random, anything else. They're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And uh, uh, just don't forget me when you're rich and famous and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, well, I'm not. Duh. Like, you know, it's just keeping a level of humility. Um, you know, and that's why I always have to just make sure that even as the things I do, they kind of change the level. Like as the higher up I go, I don't want to have my head go there too, you know, where I think I'm like up here and y'all are down here and we can't associate because status.
The peasants, get away
The
from me,
peasants.
peasants.
Excuse me, I'm too famous for you. We don't want to be at that. I never wanted to be at that point. And, that's why I don't, it's not like that I don't go big time in modeling, but that's why I don't really travel to like Europe and Paris and do, like fashion week and brands over there, because I just feel like at that point, like you really, one, my life is already very busy. And two, um, when you do all of that, what I really notice is that a lot of my friends in the industry that do that, they kind of get a very, very big head very quickly. So they will be like, hey, Kobe, hey, because you make a lot of more money than others regular people. I'm like, no. um, so they kind of get this different image of themselves that I don't want to have. I don't want to get to that point.
How do you? It's really easy, and I don't blame you, to be like, you know what, I made it. These people right here, they ain't. And uh, and so you must have like some type of system to keep yourself humble if you find yourself kind of straying away from those things sometimes.
Well, it comes to a couple of different things. One, I just have to remember where I came from. And two, I just remember like I'm not all that in a bag of chips. Like I'm a human being just like everybody else. There's nothing that separates me from nobody else. And when I keep that, every time I bring myself back to that mindset, you don't see, everybody as big as you used to, because we could all be like, oh my God, Bella Hadid is this big figure. Like, yeah, she has had a lot of success, a lot of influence and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, she's a human being. Like, and it is nothing that, I did that nobody else can do. And that's one thing that I was really kind of passionate about, being kind of like my mission statement, or just like something about me that I always wanted to have, is that no matter how big I got, that I always can be like, listen, there's nothing that separate me from you. You can do it too. I ain't all that. I'm a human being. We came from the same high school, came from the same block. Like, there's nothing to really be all statusi about. Right? In my opinion, I know some people might see it differently. And it's always keeping a level of hunger, right? Because the moment you kind of top yourself out, like, oh, I've made it, is kind of the moment where you start to lose, one, your humbleness, and two, your pursuit, right? I think, you're really happy when you're pursuing something, when you're in the pursuit of a goal, and that always keeps me happy. It always keeps me in my place, and it keeps me calm. And I feel like, once you've lost that and you're kind of like, well, I've worked for Vogue and Vogue Italia and, all the other Vogues, and, I've traveled across the world and I make so much money and different stuff like that. And you're kind of just bottomed out. You start to get a little, one, confined, and two, you start to get a little depressed, because you're not chasing anything else. You're not really moving forward. You're just kind of plateau. Not to mention, I've seen people who have made it and done very, very well, and then they don't get re-signed because they don't effortlessly like keep pursuing that. They end up bottom out, broke. Industry forgets about them just like that, and then they end up working some type of corporate job just like everybody else. So, this one guy told me this story. He's 30 years old, and now he has to get a corporate office job, and he has to go back to school, but he made hundreds of thousands of dollars on Zara billboards, and billboards in Spain, and billboards in the United States, and billboards in all these type of places. Now he's working a job just like everybody else. So at the end of the day, he's a human being, So keeping that attitude kind of just keeps me very humble, and I don't like to get far ahead of myself than need be.
I'm I'm assuming, just for the sake of it, I'm assuming maybe the Bible also kind of gives you a source of humility as well. Like I don't know, maybe you just like pop on the Bible app and you're like, okay, I'm ready for the world now.
Definitely. If there's one thing I say definitely is God and my walk in faith and in the Bible. Um, that is one thing that definitely keeps me very humble. I make sure that that's kind of something I like to do in the morning, read the Bible and read God's word. And, you know, it says in there to be humble and walk with God so you don't get that big head, so you don't get boastful and think that everything is just you, because it's not just me, it's God, right? For the, you know, God has blessed me with a lot of different things and a lot of different opportunity. At the end of the day, that's who I'm giving thanks to first. There's nothing special that I did. I'm not, like I said, at the end of the day, I came from dust just like everybody else came from dust. And, you know, I'm not perfect. Nobody else is perfect. So, you know, you just got to keep that mindset and just know that God has kind of an avenue for everybody, right? And this is the avenue He chose to put me on. And the best thing I can do is not get too far ahead of myself thinking that it's all me, you know?
I think um, there's two things. It seems like one of the major themes of this episode is I'm human, or I'm a human being, and
Mhm.
two, the part that I relate to is like this is just the avenue that God put me on, that God
Right.
put me on to. You know, I talked about that with a pastor of mine. He says, no, I said, yo, what if God makes me be a pastor and a missionary and sends me off to like a very dangerous country, something like that? Do I have to like
Mhm.
risk my life? Because I remember some pastors saying you have to be ready to die for God. I'm like, I'm
It
too
scares
young
you,
to
right?
die. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right. No, I 100% agree.
And then my pastor elaborated. Hey, hold on. If you're actually not for that, like you actually feel that you actually cannot do that, God's not gonna put you through that. He's not gonna put you in that position where you're most likely not gonna have any success at all, no matter how much effort that you put in to
Mhm.
ideally.
Yeah, it's God really is gonna put you in an avenue where He feels like it's gonna work for you, right? For you, it's podcasting, right? That's something that you love to do. It's something that you're great at, right? For me, it's modeling and, you
Thank
know,
you.
entrepreneurship. That's kind of, those are my avenues. Like I wouldn't do well. To be fair, I knew very early I wouldn't do well in the whole job structure world. That just wasn't like a thing that really attracted me, regardless of whether I did modeling or I was really gonna go for entrepreneurship very, very early. But I just knew that that wasn't gonna really be where I'm gonna be living my full potential. Because I saw it very early, right? It spoke to God spoke to me in my heart. I guess He was just like, this ain't gonna be for you, because it ain't. I've never liked it. Um, so God's gonna put you in an avenue that speaks to you, right? Now, some people they're meant for that life. That's cool. Some people are meant for politics. That's cool, right? God's gonna put you in an avenue where He knows you're gonna be able to do the best work possible. Um, I don't think anybody is in the position they are without some type of purpose. You know, I don't think people who go to those dangerous countries and are missionaries, I don't think they're just there because they just, I don't know, die for God. You know, I don't think people kind of have that mindset like, oh man, I'm gonna go to Iraq and I'm gonna die for God, you know, just cause. Most people ain't saying that. Um, but if they feel that God has spoken that to them, they're gonna do it, you know. And that's why I always say too, if you feel God's calling you for it, just do it. You know, as long as you, I feel, are bringing glory to Him and you're not going against like God's laws, I think you're good. You're gonna know what He's really calling you to do, right? Because if it's violating, if it don't feel right, you know, some things that just don't sit right, you know, then it's not for you. If it doesn't sit right, it's not for you. Right now, some people it won't sit right with them and they'll just sit there and and take it, which I don't think is a good thing to do. But some people are going to do that. I think it's really, knowing what avenue God is calling you to do and doing that well. I forgot what verse it is, but it said it in the Bible, and it's like whatever you're called to do it well. I think it's in Romans. I'm not sure the chapter, but I think it's in Romans, and it says, I know I can't think off the top of my head, but whatever you're called to do that well. If you're called to lead well. If you're called to give generously. Whatever avenue you're meant for, do that well, right? Because we can't do everything. It's not gonna work, right? I can't. For me, I'm not like a social activist. That's not what I'm called to do. I don't find enjoyment in that. It's not for me, but somebody else is called to do that. So they should do that to the best of their ability.
Actually, this is a really late disclaimer, but to the people out there listening to that are not of the Christian faith or something like that, and they feel a little uncomfortable listening to this, I do apologize. But at the same time, me and Kobe are not pressuring y'all. It's just from our personal perspectives. Okay, this is a sensitive age. All right, don't be
I know.
don't be flipping out. We're not trying to what's the word, convert y'all. Okay, because I've been what's the word? I've been confronted or proposed to by missionaries, for example. I'm not bashing y'all, but I've been approached by Mormons. And this other guy who told me that this Korean guy was the second coming of Jesus. That was terrifying.
No way.
I'm sitting down, Kobe. This is some entertainment for you guys. I'm sitting down like this, okay? I'm scrolling through Instagram, okay? I'm like, oh, LeBron had a triple-double, lit. This guy comes down, he says, hey, you want me to talk to you about something? I was like, yeah, I was a freshman at the time, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. What you got for me? And he's like, okay, I noticed that you're Korean. I'm like, oh, very attention to detail, sir. And then, because he actually got on the first try, it's not like, oh, he's Chinese, Japanese, or something like that. He gets on the right try. I'm like, okay, well, all right, what's up then? This Korean man right here. I'm like, oh, okay. Christ Anjong. I'm like, okay, yeah, what about him? He's Jesus. I'm like, what? Excuse me? He's Jesus. He's like, yeah, he's the second coming of Jesus. And he kind of shows these verses, right, that kind of portray it, just those specific verses that just fit that story sometimes. And
I've had the same thing happen. Trust me.
No, I gotta go down to Tim Hortons and pick up something. Tim Hortons is like the Dunkin' Donuts up here in Buffalo, guys. Sorry, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just.
You're like uncomfortable, right? No, I trust me. I've been there. This guy one time. No, it was actually two of them. It was like him and his partner, or him and I guess his missionary partner or something like that. And I'm sitting there. I'm listening to like a nice podcast, whatever. I'm going home. And they come up to me. They're like, hey, where you coming from? I'm like, church? Because I'm very cool. Like I really don't mind having a conversation with random people. I feel like that's just, like I said, I like to be very just cool about it. So I was like, I'm coming from church. And they're like, oh, really? What church you go to? Like, I was like, Hillsong, New York City is down the street. And they're like, oh, yeah? Do you want to hear about the real Christ? I was like, the real Christ? Who's that? And then they break down that God has a mom. And I was like, what Bible you guys read out of? And they're like, no, we have the Bible here. Look, it says her. I'm like, that doesn't really mean though that there's like, so they sit here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, explaining to me about how there's God the Mother, the Father, and the Son. And they're like, well, how could God have gone there if he doesn't have a mother? I was like, I don't know. I'm not God. Like, what do you keep talking? And then they started trying to like pressure. And that's when I was kind of like, okay, guys, You can't do that. You know, they're like, oh, you don't want to go to hell, do you? And I think that's why some people get turned off of Christianity sometimes, is because people are like that. Like, oh, you don't want to go to hell, do you? Then you need to listen to it. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about. One. And then they had all these little verses circled. They're like, don't you see her? I'm like, what the heck does that mean to me? I don't mean nothing. And you know, that was just like, that was one scenario. I was just like, what the heck are you guys talking about? I was like, you know, and I just told you guys, I'm already Christian. So what do you think you're going to convert me to? It's crazy.
Yeah, actually, imagine if you guys met, but there was like, you know, the artist Her.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
saw it, that's her. What?
That's her right there. Look.
Yeah, that's God's mom, right?
That would be fun.
Anyway, it's just, yeah. By the way, sorry for that, guys. Just a quick disclaimer. I apologize if I come off as that way. It's just something that he and I relate on. It's okay.
Yes, you can be whatever religion you want. You can believe in whatever you want. Believe in a monkey if you, for all I care. Doesn't really bother me. That's the only.
Believe in the
That's the only.
believe in the spaghetti monster.
Oh, when I learned about that, I could not believe that was real. I only recently heard about that in class one time. I said, no way, this is real. I actually started looking it up. I said, oh, it's an actual real thing. You could become a spaghetti monster priest and actually
Ooh.
marry people with a license in the spaghetti monster religion. You know, so so you know, you can believe in whatever you want. All fine by me. I hope it's all well with you. I think that that's where we need to come from, especially in today's day and age. We need to really just give mutual respect to people just for whatever they want to do, because I feel like that's the starting point of a lot of our problems in today's day and age, is that we cannot have mutual respect for other people for their outlook on life. And you're going to have a different outlook. You're coming from a different place. You're born from a different place. You've had a different perspective. You've had a different life. You're going to have a different perspective, right? You're going to have a different outlook. And one thing that I am definitely grateful to have learned is that you just respect people for where they, you know, who they want to be, whatever attitudes they want to have. Even if it's not right, I have to respect them anyway. As a human being, base level human being, and God's child. And I have to respect you on that level before I can come and say, I'm the moral authority. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Come on. Are you kidding me? You know what I'm
My
saying?
cheeks are really hot. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I don't know if you've noticed that recently, that's become a more popular thing, is that, you know, let me tell you why you're wrong. And if you don't really agree with what we're agreeing with, then you must be some evil and different creature.
Mm.
I don't know where that perspective came from, but yeah, I think it's harmful to any growth and any sort of understanding. You know?
Before we speak about this though, like what you just said was great, but I think this one core message, it's so simple, but people just don't get it sometimes, is I'm a human being. Can you elaborate that for I don't want to say narrow minded. How do I say this? The people that just don't get it. For example, not I'm not saying I don't, but let's just say I don't, right?
Right.
What is I'm a human being mean? And I already got my explanations, but I want to hear yours.
Right. So I think on a base level, just, you know, with I am a human being, is that message, or that line in general, it just means that, hey, like, we are very more alike than we are different. You know, at the end of the day, regardless of what opinion you have, what upbringing you have had, where you've come from, where, you know, where you feel you're going, what you feel you're called for. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? Like, we are on planet Earth. And, you know, some people are on different continents and different countries and stuff like that. But even if you just want to go from an American standpoint, we're all American. We're all, living in America. We can respect each other, I think. There has to be a base level of respect. And because we're not going to be connected. Like if you feel someone disrespects you, what happens? You immediately start getting like angsty and fightsy, and then you want to start fighting them. And now you've just gone to this place where you feel like you're the moral authority on. And I think people have to be very aware on how they're saying what they're saying, right? Because I don't think it's what you say, but it's how you say it. You could be totally right in what you say. Most people are, but you can be wrong in how you're saying it. Because if you're saying it wrong, the message is wrong too, no matter what. It really comes from where you're coming from. So what place are you coming from? Are you coming from, I'm better, so let me tell you why you're wrong, why you're a bad person, why you're this, why you're that? And if you're coming from that place, you will never get anybody to agree with you, ever. Plain and simple. And that's why we have a lot of misunderstanding in today's day and age. It's because people are coming from that place of, I feel I'm better than you, without understanding that on a base level, you are just the same as that person at the end of the day. You are born, you are going to die. There's two guarantees. You'll die and you'll pay taxes. Well, now the tax part, you can circumvent. But anyway, that's a different story. But those are the two things that are almost going to be guaranteed in your life. And at the end of the day, we have to agree just to disagree, right? And that's what kind of that statement means. It's just having that mutual respect, right? Because that bridges the gap for understanding, for relationship, for anything else you want to dive into. That's where it starts at. Understanding that this guy's a person, I'm a person. I mean, what really separates you? What really makes you all that different? What is it that makes you that special that you are not the same as that person? And if you can ask yourself that question, your answer is going to be nothing. You can't say, oh, your political affiliation makes you a bad person. It doesn't make any sense. Right? You can't say that, oh, your religion makes you a bad person. You can't say stuff like that unless they are doing something, where they're hurting other people. Then obviously that's like an objective, like, okay, not so good, not good person. But for the most part, I think most people are good, genuine people, and that's the belief I choose to go with. And because at the end of the day, I know there's nothing that really separates us that much, right? Everyone is entitled to what they want to believe, especially in this country. You're entitled to whatever you want to believe, or whatever you want to think, whatever opinion you want to have. It may not be right sometimes. It may be wrong. It may be, this, that, and the third. It may be a little twisted. It could be whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you're entitled to. And I have no right to feel I need to come out of my place to tell you why I'm right. Because who says that I'm right? Just me. At the end of the day, you are the only person who wants to validate what you're thinking. That's really it. Like nobody, you know what I mean? Like you can't, even if your opinion is widely accepted, like you're just validating it for yourself. So what would be the point in trying to convince someone? You know what happens when you convince someone? You just make them not like you more. You ever get in those debates with people where they're not coming from that place of, let's have a genuine discussion, but they're coming from a place of like, I'm right and you're wrong, and let me tell you why you're wrong. Do you ever like those people? Like, I don't like those people. I have never liked those people because it's nasty. The attitude is nasty, and people can feel that, and that's why you have a lot of that tension, especially nowadays. It stems from that, right? So I am a human being is what the first thing you need to think about before getting into that whole that all that type of energy where you're just like, let me throw a bunch of this at this person Ah, attack.
For my bit is, guys, if you see me and Kobe, we are very different in terms of like maybe hair or skin color, or even though we both speak English, maybe the way we talk is quote unquote different. But I think that all are all human beings, as in we still got to eat, we still need oxygen, we still need epidermis, we still, we still need to take a
Yep.
dookie at one time.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yep.
all need some love. Everyone needs some love, no matter what,
Yep.
right? A hug from your mama, your friend, your auntie, whatever you got, right?
Hmm.
And a person from like I don't know, like Norway, he and I might not speak English, right? It's just a little tad bit different. Yeah, there's a tad bit different, but it's like the same exact thing, but just in a different form.
Right.
Any advice that you feel you would be proud to say and you want to see carried out after this podcast to any viewer, any listener out there?
Ooh. Well, one I would definitely say is that aspect of just mutual respect. I really do hope that at the end of the day, that no matter what time we're in, what year we're in, because I think 2020 has also kind of just been that year where there's a lot of division. No matter what year we're in, I just hope that people can come and develop that aspect of mutual respect sooner rather than later. Because if you don't start trying to incorporate that now, I feel like it's going to further create that illusion of disunity. So that's one thing. And two is just know that at the end of the day, everybody is just people, right? I think anybody is really capable of accomplishing everything that they want to accomplish, and not only that, but doing well in what they're called to do. There's no reason to really feel kind of oh god, what's the word? Forgot the word. Like confident, I guess you could say. There's no reason to feel insecure. That's the word. Insecure in
Ah,
whatever it is that you're doing, because you can do it. At the end of the day, if somebody has done it, that proves to you that you can do it too. You just have to do what they have done, right? I hope people can just come to that kind of understanding that you can do it. You just have to try at it, do what they did, work hard. You'll make it, right? Simple as that, right? And just three, have faith in something, right?
mm,
Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be religion. Some people are against it. It don't have to be religion, right? At the minimum, have faith in yourself,
mm.
right? And just know that that you've got it, right? You got what it takes. Um, I remember this quote by John Lennon, and he said, like, if everything is not okay, then it's not the end. Simple as that, right? So whatever you're going through, if you can remember that quote, it's not the end, right? If it's not okay, if it hasn't worked out yet, it's not the end. Just like that, right? So I guess those are just a couple pointers for me. I mean, if you have anything that you feel that I guess you want to leave your viewers with,
Mm. Let me see.
I'm sure you're always dropping gems on your viewers, though.
I'd say it's the gems are from the conversation that I have with my guests. I would say, hmm, oh damn, Kobe, you put me on the spot. Jesus. Eh,
Hey, it could be that I am a human being. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head with that.
I'll figure something out at the end. We'll just do some quick pointers real quick because we got a little bit of time. All right, so this is probably for some female viewers or male viewers out there. Could you give us some skincare routine advice?
So, um, okay. So first, drink a lot of water. That's like the basic level. You need to drink a lot of water, because you are, I guess secreting a lot of sweat and different things on your skin. And most people know if you drink like soda all day, it's not going to be the best for your skin. So you want to base level drink water. Two, have a skincare routine, even for guys. Skincare is very important. regardless if you're a girl or a guy. I know the common guy misconception is that if I take water and I take soap and I put that on my face, then my face is gonna be okay. Don't do that. Like, just if you're gonna do that, before you do that, I want you to think: when I get 40 years old or 50 years old, do I want people to come up to me and say, "That's a really, beautiful daughter you have there," and then that be your wife? Don't If you don't want that to happen, take care of your skin now, because otherwise that's literally what's gonna happen. You're gonna get that crunchy face. You're gonna be like 40 years old, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, your daughter's so beautiful because she made sure she kept her skin all good and stuff." And then you're in trouble. Um, but just on a practical level, uh, always cleanser, right? Always have some type of facial cleanser, moisture, some type of exfoliator so that your skin can breathe. Um, a toner, because toner will prep your skin before you put on any type of targeted things, like maybe okay, like serums and all these different magical things people put on their face. Um, and then moisturize. You always want to moisturize your skin. Otherwise, that's when the crunchy skin starts to come into play, especially when it's cold. That stuff does a lot to your face. Your face is a very sensitive area. So when you're doing all the going outside in the winter and all you did was put the soap and the water on, and then if you smile, it feels like your face is like cracking up. Any guy that has put on soap and water, like, what I'm talking about. You wait for it to dry up, and then now when you smile, it feels like your face is breaking. That's why you need moisturize. At the bare minimum, moisturize your skin. Clean your skin with something and moisturize your skin. Just do that, and you should be pretty much fine. And watch your diet. Diet does play a little bit into it. I'm not gonna go too much into that because I'm not like a nutrition, but just watch what you eat. Because Mickey D's and Coca-Cola is not going.
Shake
It's not
Shack.
Shake Shack. Is not going to be great for your skin nor your body. Kind of in the end, if you're having a diet like that every single day, not just once in a while, but every single. Oh wow, wait, yeah, just watch what is going in your body. Watch what you're eating. Watch what you're putting on your face. Um, Girls already know because they have like millions of things they put on their face, so they don't know better than me. They do it up. I'll tell you. Like, I'll be learning from them. To be fair, I've been blessed that I've actually not haven't had like a bad time with acne or struggled with skincare my whole life. Like, I kind of knew it was important. Like, I've been told very early, "Hey, Kobe, you need to take care of your face." It was never an option for me to put on, like soap and different things like that. Um, so I was glad I was raised with that. But yeah, you look up some routines and stuff like that, and I don't know, just don't overdo it, don't underdo it, and just watch what's coming in, and different things like that.
Before we go, I'd like to ask:
Yeah.
is there anything you'd like to shout out?
Um, as far as like people, like, or just in general.
Uh, just examples I always go with: IG people, etc., and all that stuff. And yeah.
Well, first I'm gonna shout out myself because so you can always follow me at Kobe Aspire. You can always feel free to create a conversation with me, whoever you are. I am a lover of people, so I just love having conversation with whoever, finding out their perspective, where they came from. Anything that uh, I feel like would be really really cool. I'm always down for it. Um, Shout out to K Hall Worldwide. That's kind of what I call my business. So shout out to that as well. Like I said, I work in direct sales and stuff like that, which is more relationship building before I lead with products. So anyone is ever interested in skincare and workout and energy drink and different stuff like that, feel free to reach out to me. do my Instagram because that's where I do the most of my responding and stuff. Um, Shout out to, I guess, my mentors as well, because I wouldn't know a lot of the stuff I know in business and a lot of the other areas of my life without them. Um, Shout out to God. Shout out to you, because
Thank
this
you.
was great. Um, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, don't know who else to shout out. My agent, if you're watching.
Oh,
Thank you.
if you were to, if you have any, do you have any recommendations for specific guests or specific topics that you'd like to see in future podcasts for me?
Hmm. Specific topics. Um, I would tell you to do something about what's going on, but then again, that might get a little controversial. That's all.
I got a perfect guest for that, but she's hella busy.
Got you. Okay, so I guess whenever that comes on, I mean that would be a very, very interesting thing.
Okay,
Um, at least with someone who's more knowledgeable, because I'm not knowledgeable on that stuff. So
right.
um, I think that would be super cool. You could also, I don't know. I mean, you have a very diverse amount of like content with people you worked with. So I mean, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you're doing it, perfectly. It's always a great conversation. Like I really love that. Like I love conversation, and like flowing and different stuff like that. So that's always cool. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I guess advice to other people who are gonna come on, have a conversation. Just be cool. uh, just relax, Um, and yeah, I guess that's about it.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Colby. We're definitely gonna do a part two for this sooner or later. We'll figure out the logistics later.
No problem.
So if you enjoy the podcast, please enjoy the. My bad. If you enjoy the podcast, please share the video, like the video, comment, subscribe, and always, y'all have a blessed day.